On today's edition of our Spotlight Caribbean feature, Damian Sogren shines the spotlight on the latest book by Trinidadian author Booker Rennie, entitled Mettle and Mettle, The Birth of Steel Pan Music and the History of Trinidad All-Star Steel Orchestra.
I'm Damian Sogren, back in your company for another installment of Spotlight Caribbean. And Trinbagonian author A. Booker Rennie has released his new book entitled Mettle and Mettle, The Birth of Steel Pan Music and the History of the All-Star Steel Orchestra. Let's learn more about this latest literary effort from the author himself.
This book attempts to elucidate to people around the world how the steel band, as we know it today, came to evolve. What pushed people? What kind of situations existed at that time in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s that led to them creating something to deal with their situations under colonial, first of all under slavery, then colonialism, okay? And it was all about trying to decide and to unearth a new life for themselves. And in doing so, they created an instrument in the whole trust to develop their lives.
Born out of an impetus by the author to put together a clear story of the steel pan's evolution, Mettle and Mettle delves into the roots of the instrument's development, highlighting the transformative work of notable pan pioneers such as Ellie Manette and Neville Jules, former captain of the legendary Trinidad All-Star Steel Orchestra, who created the groundbreaking 4-note tenor pan, which paved the way for the formation of the family of pans, thus setting off a creative explosion.
When I began to develop the story, I began to realize a lot of the early formations took place in All Stars Yard. I kind of trace the roots of the story. All right? I didn't just pick a band and start to write about a particular steel band. I end up writing about All Stars because that is where the guts of the story came. Right? And I decided that, listen, since the basic outline of the story has a lot to do with All Stars, I will talk with Neville and all the guys in All Stars who think, and I did talk to many of them. Now, Jules was only the seventh captain of All Stars, right? But there were 6 captains before him. All right, and you will see all the captains in the book and what they contributed.
Featuring engaging stories, historical anecdotes, and captivating photographs, Mettle and Mettle has so far garnered rave reviews from the general public, cultural aficionados, and even the media, and regarded by many readers as filling a necessary gap as it pertains to deep diving into the developmental stages of the steel pan's history. Mr. Rennie has major goals for this latest publication.
So I want Trinidadians to be fully equipped of how all this thing came about and to be able to be any part of the world and to be able to say, hey, this is how this thing started. I want Trinidadians to be proud of it, to be very proud of it, and not to be looking down at it, not to feel that it's something that is not important. It is important to the history of Trinidad and Tobago. I want them to be clear on that. And then other than that, I am wishing that the book is sold all over and that people at least be able to read and understand how all this thing came about.
Mettle and Mettle, The Birth of Steel Pan Music and the History of Trinidad All-Star Steel Orchestra by A. Booker Rennie is available for purchase now via all major outlets including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Thrift Books, and eBay. For additional information, please visit www.andrewbookerrennie.com. I'm Damian Sogren, inviting you to join me again for another installment of Spotlight Caribbean.